Hello everybody, how's it going? It is JewJuBee here, and welcome to this episode of Let's Build in Planet Zoo, where we are building a franchise zoo in Sandbox mode, just so that we can have some more control over the settings and things. So this zoo is the first of all the franchises, or I guess the first zoo in the franchise, and it is in California, so we are building in the tropical map. In this episode, we are going to be building an ostrich exhibit, as well as this building here, which is going to serve as a place to buy food, as well as a small museum for the masks that we have in the game. So for those of you who don't know, I am actually studying to be an ecologist. I am currently at school double majoring in physics and geology, and I hope to work with climate change research for ecosystem rehabilitation as well as damage prevention. So what we've been doing for this series is every time I'm building and doing my audio, I'm talking to you guys about something that pertains to maybe the animal or the build that we're doing, so that we can learn more about what's happening in our ecosystem and ways that we can at home fix them. And if you are interested in some of the past blogs that I have been talking about, I have an actual blog site where I post all these, and I'm going to link it in the description, and you're welcome to go visit it. I talk about them in most of my episodes if you haven't seen the other ones, but ones I post on my blog are like a little bit more edited, a few more facts and things. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I have my notifications on. So I just wanted to come in here and record this audio for you guys. I actually have an exam today for calculus, so I wanted to get this done before then. But this episode, the ostrich really isn't that threatened. They are kind of least concern right now when it comes to endangerment. But one thing that is a problem for them is that their homes are being destroyed, as well as poaching. I think poaching is a problem for just about every animal, especially in the African grasslands. So something that I wanted to talk about was something called ecotourism, which would help alleviate some of their homes being destroyed in the name of just people visiting. So the desire for people to travel to exotic and beautiful places has always caused damage in the environment and the world due to just the high amount of traffic of people there. But ecotourism attempts to allow people to visit these interesting areas non-invasively and maintain the fragile natural balance of the area. So ecosystem aims to educate visitors on the environment and the wildlife that they are observing, while also making money to benefit the local people and fund the conservation work for the area. So it usually raises a lot of awareness of local environmental issues for where you are, and promote the behaviors to assist positive environmental impact. And this is also done usually on much smaller scales than such things like commercial tourism. So the Galapagos Islands are actually an excellent example of ecotourism, and where it's been implemented effectively. And we've already actually done the Galapagos tortoises. We did both of them, but I didn't want to talk about ecotourism during that, just because they have a lot of problems with what they're going through. So that's why I chose to talk about it in this episode. But the Galapagos Islands, so they're separated from the mainland. It's like its own island, and usually islands like that have very, very fragile ecosystems, and very, very specific wildlife. Like the two tortoises, one is from the Galapagos Islands and the other one is from Madagascar, I believe, and they're exclusively on those islands. But the Galapagos are, famous for Charles Darwin. He went there on his Beagle voyage, and that's where he kind of made all of his observations that led to his theory of evolution. So most of the Galapagos Islands are national parks, meaning that people who visit there usually have to go as part of an ecotourism venture, and they have to follow very strict rules. So tourists are only allowed to visit certain areas in small numbers and are usually transported on boats owned by the locals. And a portion of the money that's made for people to be allowed to go on these trips is used to protect and conserve the island. So people can experience the environment in a very environmentally friendly, touristic way, But by choosing to go on these tours with small locally owned trips, providers supply an educational aspect on the local environment. So they're going to know more about the environment than, say, somebody who is paid from maybe Chicago to go with you on this trip. Somebody who's from the area that you're going is going to know more about the area. I think that's pretty obvious. So that's one of the things that they go on. So people can also look there's different, so people can look into different damages that may be caused for certain trips. For example, whale and dolphin watching tours provide, really noisy, high polluting boats, and they try to get really close to these animals, and they can cause a high amount of distress and can increase a chance of harm on the animals. But eco-friendly tours will usually use really small boats, really quiet boats, and they kind of stay a respectable distance away from the animals so that we, as tourists, can see and get to experience these unique and exotic things, but keeping the environment and the animals in it safe. So that's mostly the main thing about ecotourism. And it focuses on uniting conservation, community, and sustainable travel. So there are several guidelines in place for those who partake in ecotourism. Namely, ecotourism focuses on pristine, unspoiled natural environments, minimizing impact on the environment and building environmental and cultural awareness, as well as respect. They also provide positive experiences for both visitors and hosts, directly financial benefits for conservation and financial benefits that empower the local people. So everybody wins with ecotourism. But it's important to also know not every eco-friendly trip is ecotourism specifically. So just because you say you're going to take a walk through the rainforest doesn't necessarily mean it's ecotourism unless the trail that you are going on directly benefits conserving the rainforest that you walk through. So if that might be confusing, some examples of ecotourism, I have a few examples here to show you guys. So these are examples that I had put on this blog for when quarantine's getting ready to lift up. So I wanted to list some things so that people would be able to make these, involve these in their plans when they're preparing to go out after the quarantine is lifted. So an example would be visiting a national park. You have to pay to get into a national park for the most part, or they are funded through taxes for the national park budget. So the money that is being put into it, whether directly through ticket prices or through your taxes, that money that you are paying is going back into protect the ecosystem and the biodiversity of the area. So I'm going to put a link in the description for where you can see and find national parks that are nearest to you. Another example is to take an eco tour. So eco tours can be a little bit more expensive when you get to really exotic places, like if you wanted to go to Africa or Costa Rica. But for the most part, you can find an eco tour in your area that is much more affordable and owned by a small business or families. Usually you can just Google search eco tour near me, and you can probably find like a river tour, or maybe there's a person who does tours through a national park or something like that. And once again, I'll put a link in the description of the 42 best ecotourism adventures in the United States. So I'll put that in the description. And the best way to know, honestly, if it's an eco tour is to call and just ask and say, you're interested in helping the environment and you'd like to know how the money that you are going to give to their business will benefit the surrounding ecosystem. And after a quick phone call, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to figure out if they're honest and if they really do want to help the ecosystem. And another way is to go to conservation zoos, conservation aquariums as well, and botanical gardens, making sure you're not going to roadside zoos because those are not the same, but making sure that they are conservation zoos, aquariums, and botanical gardens. So conservation zoos and aquariums do a lot of work in the wild for conserving habitats and studying health threats as well that we need to conserve. So zoos have breeding programs and occasionally result in animals being released into the wild, which we are very well aware of with Planet Zoo. But usually these places are very proud of their ecological work. So if you just take a quick look on their website, you'll be able to tell right away whether or not they do conservation work. I'm going to put links in the description to find zoos, aquariums, and botanical gardens near you. But the episode is actually coming to an end. As you can see, it's a very simple habitat. They live in the grassland, so not a lot of things. We do have this rock pond here, which I think came out really nice. But yeah, so check the links in the description so that you can plan your post-quarantine trips, eco-friendly, and trying to make sure we're maintaining the environment. Check out the blog. That link will be in the description as well. I hope to see you guys in the next episode. Let me know if you guys want to see anything specific in the comment sections below, and make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can notify when we post our next video. And I'll see you guys then. Bye!